The views and opinions in this program are not those of CISA 7 or Spectrum.
No, you're good. So first we'll start with roll call. Sandy?
Becker?
Here.
Maloney?
Here.
McCoy?
Here.
Sitnikov?
Here.
Shelton? Here. Vandenheuvel?
Here.
Warren?
Here. All right, all 7 board members are present. I will entertain the first motion to convene in closed session.
I move that the board convene in closed session in room 337 pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business. Whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically to wit, negotiation of collective bargaining agreements pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. To wit, employee compensation, pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has, am I repeating myself? Jurisdiction, responsibility pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, paren 1, paren F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary considerations of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons except where paren B applies, which, if discussed in public, would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations, to wit, administrative hiring and administrator and teacher assignments. The board will reconvene in open session at 6 p.m. pursuant to section 19.85, paren 2, Wisconsin statute, to consider the balance of the agenda, which will include an open forum, system and monitoring reports, and the superintendent's update. The board may reconvene in closed session after the conclusion of the regular board meeting for such reasons noted in this posting pursuant to proper motion. The board may return to open session to vote on items discussed in closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sandy?
Maloney?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Vandenheuvel?
Aye.
Sitnikov?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
McCoy?
Aye.
Shelton?
Aye.
Carried 7-0. We'll convene across the hall.
We're likely getting a new.
Pursuant to section 19.85, paren 2, Wisconsin statutes, to consider the balance of the agenda.
Second.
Actually, at 5:59. I know, our clock's in here fast. There we go. Okay. There's a motion to reconvene in open session. Is there a second?
Second.
Sandy?
McCoy?
Aye.
Shelton?
Aye.
Becker?
Aye.
Sitnikov?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Vandenheuvel?
Aye.
Carried 7-0. We took roll call earlier, but I would like to also mention that we have 2 intercity student council members with us today. Luke Pisani from Southwest High School, our president, and Noah Becca from West. And also, Members of the, if you'd like to see the agenda items, you can view the board agenda and handouts as well as minutes from past meetings by visiting the district website at www.gbaps.org. Click on our district and then Board of Education. On the left menu, you will find a link to agendas and minutes. And this link will take you to a website called Agenda Manager, where all board agendas, minutes, and handouts from board meetings are housed. There are also directions on the website. We just shifted over from Neptune to Agenda Manager. All of our meeting handouts and agendas from past meetings are in there. There are directions for how to access those. The Agenda Manager will just have our agenda from last month or this, no, just this month moving forward. Also, let's see, why don't we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then, Eric, if you could read the mission statement, please.
We educate all students to be college, career, and community ready, inspired to succeed in our diverse world.
Thank you. And next is open forum, and the board will provide our community 2 different opportunities during tonight's meeting to speak before the board. The first is during our open forum. The second opportunity is during agenda items where indicated by public comment on our agenda. All speakers must fill out a form indicating their desire to speak. If you wish to speak during tonight's open forum, you may do so with respect to items that are posted on tonight's agenda or any other matter you wish to share with the board. Please know that Wisconsin's open meeting laws prohibit the board from conducting business on matters brought during this open forum. The board will also permit public comment during agenda items as noted. During this public participation time, consistent with state and federal laws, board members may engage in dialogue with the speakers. In order that all voices are heard, the board will suspend engagement until all speakers have had a chance to speak. The process for speaking during our agenda items is as follows. The board will first hear the presentation and discuss the agenda item before calling on those who desire to speak. If you want to speak during a specific agenda item, please fill out a form and give it to the board secretary at any point during the meeting. If you desire to speak and haven't yet filled out a form, just indicate that to the board secretary. You can fill out a form afterwards. The board secretary will provide the names of those wishing to speak to the board member conducting that part of the meeting, and you will be called upon to speak at the appropriate time. Please keep your comments to 5 minutes. Prior to starting your comments, please provide your name and address. We have one person indicating a desire to speak, and that's Amanda Oudenhoven. So yeah, just press the one that has the sound coming out of the person's mouth.
Look at that. The podium, actually. All right, I'm Amanda Oudenhoven, 644 South Madison, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54310. Good evening, board members. You have seen me before because I approached many of you 2 years ago about CEP and serving our students universal breakfast. Tonight I am speaking not only as an individual who is very passionate about this, but also on behalf of Green Bay Advocates for Public Education. I looked at the board agenda and realized that food service has a recommendation for meals to be increased tonight. This is what brings me to the meeting. I have continued to work with Hunger Task Force and Stronger Together, making sure that students across the country have the opportunity to access the food that they need. The advocacy that I have done around this issue has brought me national attention, and this year I was approached by NEA and Stronger Together to be a part of a fellowship. This fellowship would have allowed my school $3,000 of equipment to pilot a second chance breakfast. Even though my school already qualifies for CEP and does serve breakfast until 9:30, there are still students within my building that I know could benefit from eating later. Some students do not eat till 12:30, or some come to school and are not hungry at 7:40 in the morning. I understand. Most people don't like breakfast that early. But students do deserve the benefit of having the opportunity to get a healthy breakfast. After many emails, I could not get anyone to sign off on receiving these funds. I had to go nationally on webinars and explain that I could not give any data on my school's pilot, as I could not continue in the pilot program. I found out that if we would serve around 850 more breakfasts, our school district would receive an additional $360,000 more in funds. When I have approached principals in other roles that I've held within the district and talked to them about how to improve the amount of students eating breakfast, I was told by some individuals that I know who needs a breakfast when they come in and they will get it. Would any of you know that I came from a household of trauma when I grew up? Would you look at me and know that I didn't get food maybe one day? I don't think that we are able to look at somebody and be judged and know what our students need. Again, in a cabinet meeting, I was told by a member of district office that our staff needs to be better trained around trauma and how to meet the needs of our students. However, I believe our administration across the district and at district office need that same training. To sit and believe that you know everyone's story is a comment that I cannot agree with. I would like to once again ask this board to relook at breakfast programs across the district and work with the food service directors to ensure that all our students have access to the healthy start of the day that they need and that they deserve. Thank you.
Rhonda?
I have a clarifying question. Thanks, Amanda. Appreciate that. Information. You had mentioned that there were requests made via email. You couldn't find anyone to sign on to the funds. Was there ever a reason given for that?
I was never given a reason.
So was it just, we're not interested?
I was told by my school administration that yes, that she would be interested. The food service person at my building told me that we served until 9:30, and she thought that it was sufficient enough. And food service directors told me that they would be interested, but never would sign the paperwork, nor give me a reason why they wouldn't sign the paperwork.
Kristina?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for coming forward and talking about this. With all of the fabulous work that we've done, our district still has the largest breakfast gap in the state of Wisconsin. Largest breakfast gap. And so I think your comment about principal and administrative level support in the school buildings is a really critical piece, and I appreciate you elevating that.
Okay, actually.
So I'll follow up with you after this. Just wanted to thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm just thanking her for bringing that
The only
piece
thing
up.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Then
that's-
we're doing some editorial commenting.
No, I'm just telling
but
her
it's-
thank you.
Right, but the agenda item is the price of meals. Sure. Not food service, right? I don't think, correct, yeah, Melissa says that's correct. Michelle?
Amanda, thank you, Amanda, for coming forward as well, and I know we had a conversation with Joni as well. Would you be amenable to speaking to Vicki and me a little more about where this is? That would be appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Amanda. All right, next is monitoring reports. That'll be facilitated by Laura McCoy.
There are no monitoring reports this month.
All right. Thank you. And next is superintendent's update. I'll turn that over to Dr. Langenfeld. Oh, gosh, sorry, I missed that.
I move that the minutes of the regular board meetings dated June 17th, 2019, special board meetings dated June 17th, July 8th, July 11th, and July 15th, 2019, and special board meetings closed session dated June 17th and July 15th, 2019 as presented be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Actually, now with our microphones, Melissa, can we do a voice vote anymore?
You can. I think
Then I'll just summarize it, yeah, okay. All right, any opposed? All right, that passes 7-0. All right, next we'll go to superintendent's update. I'll turn that over to Dr. Langenfeld.
I was turning you off. Thank you. I just would like to begin with the calendar. And as we look forward to the month of July and moving into August already, we have a special board meeting at 5:30 here in room 331. And then August 5th, teaching and learning work session immediately followed by the organizational support work session at 6 o'clock. August 6th, we have a special board meeting, which is another retreat really focused on data, and that's right here in the boardroom as well. August 7th is a school start time task force at 6 o'clock, and I know that we have board members and Intercity District Student Council who participate as well. Mr. Becker's on that for us. And August 19th, we have our regular board meeting at 5:30, the special board meeting on August 21st, and then the school start time task force again at CISA 7 that same evening. So,
Sorry. I accidentally turned you off.
Oh, yeah, accidentally, go ahead.
It's my mom's call.
Oh, okay.
okay, thank you. I thought maybe you needed to speak, so I thought, okay. Thank you. So that's the calendar coming up in the month of August, and then of course we're looking forward to a lot of other activities as we welcome, many staff never leave for the summer. In fact, they work all summer, but are kicking off the school year again. As far as the next item, I do have some success stories. I wanted to just fill the board in and update you. You know, on June 27th, we received a very concerning email from the State Department of Public Instruction letting us know that we did not receive the mental health grant for the second year. And that was very concerning because we had started our partnership with our Hispanic and Somali families and community in working in partnership with Casa Alba and CAMSA. And we were working on making sure that our families understood, we built relationships and really understood the importance of addressing mental health issues, working collectively together for our students and providing the resources for our students and families. As we move forward, though, we heard good news once the budget passed, and we have been awarded now, as of July 11th, $75,000, again, to continue our work with our families, really addressing not only the importance of resources available, but also to start the work that had been already started around the supports for social emotional learning for our children to enhance what students' protective factors and really talk about the skills and support those skills. So we're very happy about that. Today we received another outreach from the Department of Public Instruction, and again they were waiting until the state budget came and passed, and fortunately there's been additional resources put in there. I think we will continue obviously to pursue other mental health grants and opportunities because we see the importance of making sure that our families are well taken care of across our district. The other piece I wanted to share with you is that there's a lot of incredible construction and work going on across our district, and a lot of our staff has been working tirelessly over the summer. Baird obviously has the staff actually packed up all their things and worked very diligently as they are welcoming a new school come this fall. But incredible work going on there, and today we talked about the plan for opening it up to the community and welcoming all the community in so that people can see where they have invested in the future of our children. So we're really excited about that, more to come there. The other piece though is I had a chance, Jason Johnson, the principal at the NEW school, brought Vicki Beyer and myself over to look at the facilities and space there. Again, our own facilities department has been doing a lot of the internal work there, and they should be given kudos and a shout out for that. But what most impressed me was how thoughtful the staff from both schools have been working collectively together to really plan and think about the students that they'll be serving. And we were really excited to learn already that John Dewey, which is the other part of this equation in school, already is up 40 more students than they had last year. So the enrollment is ticking upward, and we're really excited about where the school will support children who maybe have not always been as engaged in their educational programming as possible. So it's incredible what's going on there, and we're just really excited. And it's so student-centered. It just feels really good, and I have no doubt that build it and they will come. Build it and they will come. I think that the capacity will far exceed what we can handle very quickly. So those are my success stories, and I want to thank all the people involved in these efforts as well, from the facilities. I see Mike Stengel sitting back there, but all of the staff, the incredible work that the principals and the staff have done to make this all a reality. And it's not just at these schools, it's where all the referendum projects are going on this summer as well. Anyway, thank you to everyone.
All right, thank you. And we have no legal department update. And next is Intercity Student Council report. I'll turn that over to Luke.
Obviously, since it's summer, there's not a ton to update on, other than we have a meeting with Ms. Wiegand on July 29th to discuss further changes to the dress code.
Okay, thank you. And next is our legislative liaison report. I'll turn that over to Laura.
I'm going to pass out a memo and some data that I was going to try to recap this in my report, and in the end it just felt like it was easier to just give you all a copy. Anybody can access this information. It's on the WASB website. You want to pass that down to, can you guys share? At WASB legislative update, you can have a look at this information there, but I thought you might like it in front of you. So I'm just going to do a quick recap of the budget. Revenue limits for districts will increase by $175 in the 2019-20 school year. The next year, it will increase by additional $179. The low revenue ceiling for the state's lowest spending districts was set at $9,400 in 2018-19 and will be raised to $9,700 next year and $10,000 in the next school year. General aid was increased by $83.2 million in 2019-20 and $246.74 million in 2020-21 over the this is over the prior base funding level. Per pupil categorical aid will be increased by $742 per pupil in the next school year, and in 2020-21 this is an increase of $88 per student over last year. Special education categorical aid will be raised by $15.53 million next year and $81.34 million in 2020-21. And mental health funding was increased by $3 million in both of the next two school years. This is just some of the things that will affect our district. There's a lot more. I think a lot of us have had an opportunity to kind of look. I struggle with understanding the budget and all the implications. You'll see from what I handed out that it's not very easily accessible to kind of ordinary citizens like myself. And But I talked to Michelle about this briefly today. We'll get a recap after the third Friday count, and then we'll have a more very specific understanding of what will be coming to our district. Angela will be helping us with that. Is she still here? And that will happen in October, I believe, right? Okay. And that completes my report.
One of the things that I talked to Angie about this document too, and Laura has, I think, really done a really great job of trying to dive in and understand school finance. It's one of those things that's taken us years, at least me personally, years to really understand. The numbers you see in here are based on and projected numbers. And so what Angie shared with me and then passed it on to Laura is until we have the third Friday count, this may be over generous if our enrollment looks different. So that's one of the pieces to keep in mind is it's based on previous enrollment numbers. So it may look more generous than our current reality. So that's one piece. And then to Laura's point, auditors come in every year and audit our budget. And so they'll be in August, and then they produce a report, and then Angie will bring it all forward, as Laura said. So anyway, but you know, the piece that I would offer to anyone in the public and to any board member, Angie is available and very, very able to articulate what people are looking at and willing to do so. So I put that out there as well.
And so with that, and especially to make sure that people are following what we're looking at, is there any way to load what we have in as an attachment?
That's why I said that you can go to, anybody who's
Right.
watching this can go to the WASD website and access this document. It's it's readily available to the public at large.
But if they're not watching it and they want to just retrieve it from home while they're, not watching it.
I don't know that we can load it after the fact.
Right, so in the future, could we do that? So whatever you hand out to us, could we make sure is in so that people have access to that?
Sure.
Thank you. I've been asked that, so thank you.
It was, I'll just say, it was kind of a last minute decision because I struggled with trying to, give a synopsis of this and basically at some point decided that there was no good way to do that.
No, I appreciate you doing that.
And I appreciate that as well. But we do typically you go over something at the table. I think it would be nice for people to have that as well. Thank you.
Are we, Melissa, we can add it, right? Yeah, yeah. Angie's not here, but one question I have is low revenue adjustments.
What page is that, Brenda?
Well, it's one of the columns on this chart. Now, I know Madison's per pupil is way above the average. So all of their money is strictly per pupil adjustments? Do you know?
That's the revenue limit.
Right, but they're already way above the state average, the revenue limit. So I'm just wondering where this money comes from when it's very similar to the amount that, it's more than what we get, but they have more students.
Way more students.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe I'll ask
That would have to be it.
Angie.
Number
Well, no,
of
but,
students.
right, but if this is the low revenue adjustment, we should be getting more per student because we're getting that low revenue adjustment, right? And we're not compared to, anyway, I'll ask Angie to see if she knows. It's just interesting
I know what you're saying.
to see.
I know what you're saying.
All right. So next we have district events. I don't know if there's anything anybody wants to announce. Go ahead.
It's not really district events, but I know we're gonna have a lot of students tomorrow. Is it Wednesday night? For Scholarships, Inc. It's a community effort to provide scholarships for students, not only in Green Bay, but across Brown County. But we have a lot of students that receive them. And then we also are introduced to the NEW scholars, the students from our middle schools who are engaging in a pathway college readiness through NEW scholars as part of Scholarships, Inc. And that's Wednesday night at the KI Center.
And they had NEW Scholars has their own award night. They had over 100 students. I attended that, over 100 students. And actually they're extending it now into high school. So they've added 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade students they had. And the plan, I think, is to have it go all the way through high school.
That's very cool.
And then school visits update. If anyone's got anything on that? Okay.
I actually did, because I should have called first, went to Webster to see Frozen 2 last Friday, only to find out that it wasn't going to happen because of the weather. So I was very disappointed because I heard it was wonderful. And I think Cindy Olsen's daughter had a starring role in it. So
Young Elsa.
yeah, and I showed up. There's nobody there. I thought, oh no, but yeah, it didn't happen.
Because of the weather? Yes. Go ahead.
Just doing a follow-up on that. I think that it was very disappointing, disheartening for the kids, and it was short notice. So we are working in partnership to do some things perhaps yet this month so that we can honor all the work that the students and the staff have put in that performance.
Are you saying there's a possibility that they might be able to do it?
They're not exactly sure. I know we've been working the last couple of days to see what we could do. So I can't speak to exactly what it's going to be, but we're working on making sure we can do our best to address that, because it was really unfortunate that the temps were so oppressive. And I think the challenge and opportunity in something like that is recognizing we have thousands of kids out in schools all day and 105 heat index. And you know, I think people sometimes don't recognize we've had summer school, not only mornings, afternoons, and walkers and bicycles and so forth. So it's our decision, but I want to address it.
All right, next teaching and learning, and that'll be facilitated by Katie Maloney.
Thank you, Brenda. We have one action item. I move that pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 120.12, paren 13, paren B, the list and description of the 2019-20 school academic standards, student academic standards in the areas of mathematics, science, reading and writing, geography and history as presented, and with said academic standards constituting the board-adopted standards that are required under Wisconsin Statute Section 118.30, paren 1G, paren A, be approved.
Second.
Was this presented at all for discussion prior to tonight's action?
Yes.
Right, it was?
Yes.
But the next item wasn't,
Food service.
the food service.
That would be correct.
I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sandy?
Becker? Aye.
Sitnikov?
Aye.
Maloney? Aye.
Vanden Heuvel?
Aye.
Shelton?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
McCoy?
Aye.
Carried 7-0.
That concludes my report.
All right, thanks, Katie. Next
welcome.
is organizational support. Now I'll turn that over to Andrew Becker.
I will move that the food service meal prices as presented be approved.
Second.
Andrew?
I guess I'd like to know why we would be doing this tonight without it going through the regular meeting cycle. And I guess my preference would be for it to go through a regular meeting cycle, just, I mean, unless there's some kind of emergency here that I'm not aware of.
Mike?
I think the question you're asking is, this was not on the agenda last week, correct? Or it was? This was not on the agenda? This was not on the agenda last week? Okay. Well, I'm just wanted that clarification. Okay.
Lynette's on vacation tonight, so sorry she could not be here. No, she brought this at the beginning of July, and this is a yearly requirement per the Healthy, Hungry, Free Kids Act of 2010 that you must provide the same amount of services and meals to paid students as you do to the free and reduced, and that the law requires that you cover your cost of your meals. So by raising a nickel all the way across each level, that would bring it up to the average of $2.90, which would make us in compliance.
So is there any reason that this couldn't be bumped into the August regular meeting cycle? I move to postpone this motion to the regular August meeting cycle of work session and board meeting.
Second.
So when we're, can you come to the table?
So starting last year, we added a fall education connection that goes out to all households in the district. And last year, we started adding in what the fees were and what the meal prices were. So if this waits until the last board meeting in August, we won't be able to include it in the newsletter. So it's not a make or break. Just want to inform you.
We are required now to notify families by policy and the law.
Right, so that it just wouldn't be in there. Like,
We'd have to notify people separately?
okay, yeah, because last year we started doing that, and we won't be able to make the mailing time frame to get it out before school starts if we wait till the last board meeting, so.
And Andrew, I don't understand why, when it's required by law to be in compliance, why we would need another month to make that decision.
I don't think we did need another month. It's just unfortunately wasn't put into the normal cycle this time.
Right, so, but I'm again asking that this is something that we have to do in order to be compliant. The only option we'd have is to raise prices past 5 cents. We can't make it lower than 5 cents.
Well, I guess theoretically, I mean, this is about doing it right procedurally. I mean, might someone from the public have a point of, I disagree with you that it really costs a nickel more, or might someone from the public have an idea that this might be hey, here's something you might have overlooked that you could save a dime a meal, which, we're talking nickels and dimes, but we're also talking about many, many thousands of meals per year. So this is really, I'm not too worried about the 5 cents since free is still free, but it's about doing it right procedurally.
And this is about honoring the process that we've agreed to. And that is really what this is about. So this was available, this was coming forward in July.
It's my fault. We've done this before where we've had agenda items that we've put on and not had it on the work session. So it's my fault.
But hold your fault. I'm not sure about that. But there is a meeting that happens every week with board president, vice president, and yourself, correct? where you go over the agenda, correct? I mean, I guess what I'm wondering about is there must have been a conversation that was had in July, possibly, was it late July? I mean, because it's already, like, was it close to now? Was it early July?
The memo that you received was put together on July 1st.
So was it forwarded for action, knowing there was a meeting coming up, you know, not too long after that? I think that's where I think this probably should have been. Personally, I don't actually think it's your fault, Sandy. So I think that's where I would have seen that. And I think we have to be careful about cherry picking and, you know, going through all the verbal judo to normalize it. That's just my thought.
Dr. Langenfeld?
Thank you. You know, I don't recall seeing it, but that doesn't mean that it would be something we would have discussed. And at the end of the day, I take responsibility if it didn't come my way. I can't explain it because I don't recall seeing it, but certainly I understand. My question to you is this, though, however, based on the timing and what this means, is there opportunity to bring it forward at the work session with a special session so that it could come out earlier for families? I would be concerned about that.
What's your deadline? When does that go to print?
Usually goes to print by the second week in August.
Okay, so we could add it, we have a meeting now on the 29th too. So we could either add it there or August 5th? Is that our August meeting? August 5th would be soon enough? Kristina?
Yeah, I think I just would like to say that when I talked to some people today, it wasn't my understanding that this was a legal requirement. I might be wrong, that we don't have to increase the price. I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't, but I just wanted to clarify that. And I think that's why having Lynette here would be valuable. I know she's on vacation. And so I think it limits the ability for us, aside from the procedural pieces, which I think everybody brought up, but it's good for our community to know why we're doing what we're doing. And there are really good reasons, and I think clear reasons why. I talked to some food service folks about this 5% or 5 cent increase. So I just think too, again, community engagement around this is really important so people know why. And because no one from food service is here, it sort of limits that.
Katie?
Could we just ask Melissa to check with the referenced section 205 of the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010, public law?
Lynette will know. Lynette's very expertise.
Okay, so you'd rather,
So but my comment about the legal requirements was the norm.
Right, I was just saying in terms of the 5%.
Right,
I
right,
didn't know if you
okay.
knew that, but
I did not. So where did Lynette?
Is there anything, I know you pulled me off that lane, but I'm curious about what Amanda came forward and spoke to. And is there anything where that, if that would have been in place, this wouldn't be happening, this increase? So that's something I definitely would like clarity on, as a board member in general, because I think that's, you know, it might be 5 cents, but it's 5 cents a day, a meal. Maybe kids have 2 meals. They go 5 days, and then they 4 weeks, and then clear almost 8 months. So I think maybe if we could.
Just to clarify, I know Vicky's already reached out to Lynette and we have a meeting. We're working on setting up a meeting so we can address this.
And if I heard you correctly, if we have to balance the amount we spend on free meals with the amount we spend on paid meals? That's the...
According to Lynette's memo, it's that we have to provide the same amount of service to kids on paid meals as we do to children that get free and reduced. And that the food service or district must cover their cost to provide those meals. Or either by increasing the cost or by covering it out of other funds.
I just want to clarify.
So then that would be, so if I will wait for Lynette, but it seems as if we had more free meals, we'd have to
No.
increase the price.
That's not
Or is it
true.
reverse?
It's, yeah, they're two, no. So the reason why, this is why Lynette coming is so important, the reason why the cost is going up from what I was told today from food service is because the price is going up from the service providers of the food and of the actually utensils. So there's no connection within the price going up because of our CEP or our reduced meals.
That's correct.
Okay.
The free and reduced covers those costs. This would be covering the cost of the paid meals.
Okay, so it's a per meal cost, it's not a per,
It's an average of $2.90
okay,
average.
okay, all right. So are board members okay with, I think we probably should put this on August 5th rather than the 29th. Is that, okay, Andrew, you're the one that made the motion.
I guess, I mean, so then we would have it on the special meeting as a public
take a
comment
vote
and discussion item?
Yeah, just like we would, it's just a special board meeting so that we can take a vote at our work
And
session.
When are the meetings in August?
I thought it was on the 29th.
But when are the August regular?
The 5th and the 19th.
We'll find out.
The 19th is too late.
Right.
So then we'd have to, does that notification of families have to be by mail? Is that, I mean, that's the only way we can guarantee everybody gets it. Okay, all right.
So if we, what about, I mean, is the 19th, like, is this a printer's deadline or is this a mail service deadline or?
Well, because it's both, because it goes out to 63,000 households, it just takes, several days to get it printed as well as distributed.
I don't want to see us incur the expense of another printing, so I guess probably a less bad option is, posting this with notice. It gives time. It's not something that's going to be at the last minute. There is notice. It was a one-time thing. Normally, this would have been in the regular cycle, and we would have had it last week, but we didn't. So, I will offer to withdraw my motion to table if there's unanimous consent, and then I'll make a new motion. Right, so do you want to,
Just amend just say you want to table it to the 5th.
well, I already made a motion though. So is someone amending it, the tabling to be to the 5th? Then you can.
No, we're asking you to, because you said you were gonna amend it.
Sure, okay, I move to amend the date of tabling to be August 5th instead of the August meeting cycle.
Special board meeting on this one, so we can take action.
Second.
Just a minute. Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna have Sandy read the motion that she has.
I'll be really quick. I know we're kind of poo-pooing the 5 cents, like it's 5 cents, but if you have multiple kids, if you're not a parent who qualifies for free and reduced lunch, there are a lot of people, they're right on the edge of that, right? And they have, they're eating breakfast, they're eating lunch, they're eating, and maybe there's, again, multiple kids eating both meals. This does add up for families because they're always the people in the cracks that don't, they're not heard. So just before we just flippantly say it's 5 cents. I think we need to think about that. Thank you.
Then Sandy, do you want to read the motion, please?
Motion made by Becker to amend the motion to allow for this item to be placed on the August 5th special board meeting agenda.
Okay. So we have to vote on the amendment and then the tabling, right? So we'll vote on the amendment to put it on the August 5th board meeting. Sandy?
Maloney,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Aye.
Sitnikow,
Aye.
Aye.
McCoy. Aye. Shelton.
Aye.
Carried 7-0. And now we are voting on the amended motion to table it to August 5th. Sandy?
Warren,
Aye.
Becker,
Aye.
McCoy. Aye. Sitnikow,
Aye.
Maloney,
Aye.
Shelton,
Aye.
Vanden Heuvel.
Aye.
Carried 7-0. All right, let's see. Oh, back to Andrew.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll move the consent agenda items as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sandy?
Shelton,
Aye.
Maloney,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Aye.
Sitnikow,
Aye.
McCoy. Aye. Becker.
Aye.
Carried 7-0. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 7-0. We are adjourned.
You have been watching the Green Bay Area Public School District's Board of Education meeting. Please visit the school district's website, www.gbaps.org, to view the program again. If you cannot fully access the information on this video, please let us know the accessibility issue you are having by calling 920-448-2025 or by email at communications@gbaps.org. We will try to provide the information to you in an alternative format and/or make the necessary improvements to make the information accessible.